Amazing love.
What manner of love would be so amazing as to transform the life of somebody else? I welcome you viewers to the second segment of the program Amazing Love, where we continue to hear the heartbreaking story of these two ladies as they were explaining the circumstances that they found themselves in. It is sad to know that they had to engage in some activities which were not quite good for their lives and for their children, but they had to survive. As we continue with your story, you were saying there's a certain lady who wanted to take you to the club. Can you now tell us the journey that you went through?
Okay. From that day when I met that lady, she took me to a place. And then when I went to a place, she told me that, no, with this type of your clothes, you can't go to a club.
How were you dressing? What type of clothes didn't she want you to wear?
Decent clothing, maybe just a skirt or a dress, but those were not the type of the clothes that she expected me to take to a club. And then she told me that at that club there are some foreigners who come there. Jantemba in town, it's not one. So she gave me her own clothes, and I even felt uncomfortable. And I said, but I can't walk. And I said, no, let me just teach you. She taught me how to walk and how to dress. And then since I had no choice, but I just said, no, let me just do like you said. And then from there, we went to that club. When we reached at that club, she bought me, I remember, Hunter's Gold. And I said, it's a beer, but it's not all that strong. You can just try it so that you can attract some men when you're drinking that beer. Just because if you take a Coke, they won't come to you. And you're supposed to try to dance again. So at that time, it was hard for me. And then I even tried all those tricks that she said. And then, in the clubs, a certain gentleman came to me and then said, it's your first time to come here. And I said, but how do you know that it's my first time? And then that lady, she was just pinching at me and said, it's okay, take it. And then that man said, I know it's your first time. Let me take you out. And then he gave me some money. And then I went with him at his place and then gave me some money. And then in the morning, I went back home. I was a little bit relieved. And somehow, somewhere, I was happy. At least I can manage to pay back the money that I had borrowed, and I can even buy some food for my babies. And then I said, so this thing is easier, rather than for me to keep on going to that market. At least maybe I can start on doing this. And then from that time, I started going nearly every day to that club, but somehow, somewhere, I had some conscience, just because some of those men that we would meet, they will even sometimes tell you, let's go to your place. And at that time, I was staying in one room with 5 kids. So it was difficult for me. I would first go inside that place, and then I'll check if all the kids they are sleeping, so that I would sneak that man inside the house without my kids not seeing. And then early in the morning, I'll sneak him out again. But it was tough for me.
And when you'd be going out to the club, who would remain with your children? You said they were quite young.
I would just leave them. I would say, just stay indoor, don't go out. I would just leave everything cooked for them, and then I'll say, no one will go out. If you want to go to the loo, just use the bucket inside. So I had my own spare keys, so by the time I'll just tell them to lock inside, and then they remove the key. And then when I come back, I'll unlock the door myself. And
how was life during that time? For how long did this go on?
Almost for two and a half years.
And how was your life then?
By that time, I was now enjoying what I was doing. And I could say, this and this, it was okay for me, but I had somewhere, it was not good for me. And there was a day, I remember, one of my kids, she saw me, say, but mommy, do you drink beer? And I said, no. And I said, but you always force us to go to church every day. You are drinking beer. And then I started crying. I said, but why are you crying? I said, no, I'm not crying. It's just tears that are falling from me. I said, again, a certain lady, she came to me and they said, I heard you were crying, your kids. She came to my place saying, Mommy, she was crying just because I told her that she's drinking beer. And I said, you know, it's life. That is what I only said to that lady.
Sad story. Can you tell us how hard did your life become? Because when there are people who are watching and you're going to the club, you're coming back, they think it's easy, as she's explaining, and they think that it is easy money to be made. How difficult did your life become even as you were going to the club?
For me, it was tough because when I was going to the club, I was young. Sometimes I meet the men, so it was tough. Then sometimes the policemen came to take us and send us on our sales. And sometimes sometimes they're going to see ngodzokao pamwe ari ega tongosiwa nemunhu andiendasira and even mari yachona chete inge sina chainobatsira because sometimes ndaiwana, but after that ndaiwana nongoishandisa zvisina kana ungodi because ndingochawana imwe so ndaizosvika futi pakutoshaya pekugara, but ndiri munhu aitorarama nekuenda kutsvaga mari, but ndaisvika pakushaya pekugara even chikafu yaitoshaya.
Can you tell us how you met Prophetess Ruth Makandiwa?
Pandikasungwa ndiendawo chikurubi ndikanogara 6 days then ndadzoka zvinhu zvakangondiomera kuramba ndichingoenda kuclub, saka ndakatinga kugara then sanda kuenda kuchechi papo ndaingona madhisk chete Prophet Makandiwa naProphetess Ruth everyday ndichingona madhisk awo. Then one of the Sundays pandikazoenda kuchechi pandakazotongoona pakangoparidzwa naProphet, then pandangoda kuzongotendeuka ubva ndanga kutongoenda kuchechi, then but rent yanga yakundinetsa kuti handisina kwekuiwana nekuti ndaingotyirawo utano hwangu, ndaitya kuzowana chirwere, and sometimes ndaigona kusangana neproblems ndaikwira kana mota dzematsotsi even kana kuenda netsotsi kana ndadzoko kana pamba pandaenda kugara even maraini mandaenda kugara. Sometimes chero nchifamba masikati ndakapfeka even long skirt kwenda angomiswa nemurume, saka zvazva zvinhu zvisina kunaka kana mandiriwo ndandasazvide, saka ndozvimwe zvakazongoita kuti ndichingoenda kuchechi. Ndipandikazongofunga zvekuenda kuofisi yaProphetess Ruth Makandiwa.
So when you went to her office and you told her all that you had gone through, did she show any reservation that maybe your problem is too big for her, she can't help you? Was there any condition?
Vanhu vakangonditambira nekutoti vachandibatsira.
And you, my sister, tell us, how did the transformation in your life come?
One evening when I was going to the club, I saw a poster it was written, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa. And then since I heard some stories about him, and then that poster, it touched me so much. Then I said, but tomorrow I need to go there. I need to go and see this man. I need to go and see how it is at the church. And then I said, but me, this life that I'm living, I don't like it, but I don't have a choice. If I leave it, and then how am I going to survive? I had those patience, but I had no choice. And then I started going to City Sports Center. And then the following, after 8 months, I remember it was in April. By that time, for the past 8 months that I started going to church, I haven't even stepped my foot inside the City Sports Center. I only attended outside on the overflow. It was on a Tuesday, and then I heard the prophet say, everyone who is living in the prostitution or who is doing fornication or who is surviving on somebody's husband, like that and that, and if you're no longer interested in that, come on the pulpit. I think I was the first one to rush. And then everyone who was just sitting outside, they just looked at me. The way that I stood, I didn't even know what pushed me. And then when I got inside, there were some lights and everybody. And I didn't even realize that it was full like that. But I just rushed, and then I just stand. I said, but I was just asking myself, but I said, no, I've made up my mind. I no longer want it. If this means that I'm going to stop it right now, if they're going to help me, I'll stop it. That is what I said to myself. And then I can't remember everything, what the prophet said. And then I just said, I'm turning my life now to God. I want to change. After the prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa prayed for us, he instructed us to say, tomorrow go and see the mother, Prophetess Ruth Makandiwa, at the offices. And then when I went there, I met Mother Prophet Ruth Makandiwa. And then I explained to her everything that I was doing. From there, I phoned some of the ladies, asking them for forgiveness. I was just doing it from the bottom of my heart. I'm sorry for whatever I have done to you. Sometimes I've even broke someone's marriage, but I was just asking for forgiveness. But others, they accepted my apologies, but others, they didn't.
During the 8 months that you said you were going to church, were you still going to the club when you were still coming to church and you were sitting in the overflow before the altar call?
Yes.
How was it? You were going to the club, you were coming to church?
It was difficult for me, but I thought of it, but me, I'm going to church, I'm going to the club, but I had no choice. For me, even to get the bus fare man to come to church, I didn't have it from anyone or anyone to ask, say, can you help me with bus fare? I didn't even have. And even by that time, I even thought, but since I'm going to church, I'm supposed to change, but if I change, how am I going to survive? I need to go to church, but what about this thing? It's bad, I know, but I had no choice.
We know your life was transformed for the better, but I know our viewers will really, really stay for the third segment. When we come back and hear the amazing transformation, stay with us.
Amazing love.